Hi everyone, Jessica here from Paper Ink Stamp and welcome back to my channel. So today's video we are looking at Creative Stamping issue 108. So in here you have got a set which is going to be perfect for the up and coming Jubilee. So this set is called Royal Jubilee and this is a 37 piece stamp set here. We've got a few designs here from Indigo Blue and we have lots of really great imagery here that you'll be able to use if you want to create some decorations, invitations, things like that, if you've got something sort of going on where you live. But we also have then some really great sentiments. We've got some scripts and things. We've got this lovely carriage just down here. Let me pick this up. You've got this lovely carriage just down here which would be perfect for any sort of princessy style cards that you want to make. And then we have the 4 playing cards up here which I love and I definitely want to use these on today's card. It also comes with a 3-in-1 regal background stencil. So we've got this design just here. Get this in camera. We've got this design just here. We have this lovely, you could turn this into almost like a wallpaper. That's a really beautiful design. And then we've got this smaller one just up here. And of course then you can just mask off the other stencils and use the portion that you want. So that is the free gift that you get. Let's take a look in the magazine. We've got this card here on front, a really interesting style card here, a good different kind of shape if you're looking for something a little bit more interesting. And then you have got that carriage on there, again perfect for you know, if you're creating those kind of fairy tale style cards, that's going to be perfect. And it looked like it may have been heat embossed as well. So let's take a look at some inspiration in the magazine here. So these ones are by Vanessa. So we have got sort of monochrome. This is actually, funny enough, this is actually kind of the style that I was going for today's card. I was thinking about doing the cards on a slimline base. So definitely going to make it different to that though. But that was definitely sort of my first thought. These would be perfect maybe if you've got some 21 birthday cards you need to make, because you can use obviously the ace and then any of the other picture cards there. We have got again, so heat embossing, so you've got the heat embossing that carriage as well. We've got using the designs by Indigo Blue here, so we've got those Union Jacks and then a really nice simple card, but using just 2 of the images and creating a wreath with them. Absolutely perfect. Let's take a look at what comes included in next month's issue. So this issue of Creative Stamping goes on sale the 26th of May. This is called Versatiles. Now I do have a collection, a commission, sorry, within this issue of the magazine, actually using the free gift, and I had tons and tons of fun creating. You've got different squares or diamonds if you want to use them that way. You've got corner pieces and hexagons, octagons, whatever these ones are. And each one has got these different designs in and they're so beautiful. You can create some really fantastic cards. And you also get a textures sentiment stamp set as well, again with different styles of font in there. So definitely looking forward to being able to have another play with those. Again, I did really enjoy creating the cards that I did for those. And again, so that goes on sale the 26th of May. So that was a look at the magazine and the free gift stamp set and the stencil. So let's get into creating a card for today's video. Today's card is going to be a slimline card. So I've just taken the Creative Craft Products stitched DL nesting dies. So the largest size I'm going to use fits perfectly on my DL size card base. That one's going to be used for a matte and layer, and then I've done the next size down for my background, and I'm going to be stenciling through this almost like it almost looks like wallpaper to me. You could definitely turn it into something like that, maybe a little bit of like flock wallpaper, and that might be quite nice. And I'm going to do something a little bit colourful here to kind of match in with the playing cards that I am going to be creating. So I'm going to use some of this Crafters Companion Stick and Spray. So before I was using the Pin Flare stencil glue. It's very, very good. I just found that I made a little bit of a mess with it. I always got the glue on the front of the stencil as well as the back. So I wanted to try this. I found it just in a random shop and it was a lot cheaper. I think it was only £4 or £5. Normally I think when I've seen it on Amazon it was about £7, something like that. So I did pick it up and this is probably like the second time that I've used it. And yeah, I do think that this is much easier and it just works a lot better. So I let my stencil just sort of become tacky for a couple of minutes. I was trying to find some of this thicker washi tape and this is then just going to mask off the other portions of this stencil. And I'm going to be taking some Distress inks and then just my little finger daubers to go through this stencil, because I wanted to have a little bit of a rainbow background. I've got four, I'm going to be using the four stamps within the stamp set, and I wanted to kind of match the background in with the colours that I wanted to use. So I think I used the Scattered Straw for the first one. There was Fired Brick, which is the red here. Then I'm going to use, I think it was a Seedless Preserve, then it was Peacock Feathers, and then I went back again to the Scattered Straw. So I did the first sort of column of them, the first two I did in the yellow, and then the second one, and then I tried to kind of blend it from that yellow into the red doing the second one, and then I can literally just pick up the stencil, I can kind of line it back up again, and then just move on to my next colour. So it's a really easy stencil to use and get up, even though it's only a small stencil, it's very easy to create your bigger backgrounds. You just need to kind of line it back up again, but I don't even think you would notice if it wasn't massively perfect. What I would say that it is quite a small stencil, so the actual open portions of the stencil you're going to ink through isn't very big, so you do really need to kind of get into those gaps. But if you want to create a very let's say regal, I suppose, because that is kind of the style of this stamp set. But if you wanted to create something really fancy, I think what would be nice with this is using the stencil and heat embossing, maybe onto like a darker cardstock. If you did maybe like a navy with a silver, I think that would look really great. So you could definitely use this stencil to create something really, really great here. So there's my background. So you can see that I've tried to just blend it and transition it as much as possible. And you can see that I've not gone much outside of where I've kind of marked off where my where I'm going to be die cutting using that DL stitched die, because there's just no point, unless you want to create a whole panel, that I don't really see much point in sort of going above and beyond really the area that you are going to be using. So I'm going to trim this out so then I can run it through my die cutting machine. So I'm just going to line it up as much as possible, and then it still gives me enough where then I can kind of frame this exactly how I want to. So yeah, I'm going to run this through my Gemini die cutting machine. So my sandwiches here, I've got the cutting plate. I have then my cardstock with the die facing up. I've got the plastic shim, the metal shim, and then that second cutting plate. And it goes through perfectly. And you get this really lovely stitch detail. Where if you're not having tons going on with the card, I think having that stitch detail really does make a big difference. I think it just adds that little bit of detail. So then we have got our playing cards. So I'm taking a piece of, this is some watercolour cardstock by Sentimentally Yours. And this is a hot press, so it's smooth. I'm not really I don't really have any of the cold press, and I'm not necessarily a fan of it. I find using something like a smoother cardstock just a lot easier to use. But if you want that watercolour look where you have that textured cardstock, then it's great for that. So I've taken the 4 playing cards, I've popped that into my Misty, and I'm using my new ink pad here. So I showed you this in a recent haul video. This is the Versamark watermark stamp pad. So absolutely fantastic. Using a new juicy ink pad is absolutely brilliant. So I really didn't need to ink these up too much. I did use my anti-static powder bag to begin with. It doesn't matter too much because there is details on these playing cards that you'll see when we add the embossing powder here. You will see that there's some extra details. So you don't need to get it absolutely perfect, but it is just good practice to use an anti-static powder bag. So the embossing powder I am using, this is the copper, this is the Paper Mania copper colour. So I wanted again to go with something a little different. I didn't necessarily want to just do black. So yeah, gone in with the copper. Don't use this one very often. So then I am going to heat this and melt it with my heat tool. So you want to let this heat up for a bit. You can, to help avoid warping, you can heat from the back and the front. When I'm letting it warm up, I will kind of put it onto the back of the cardstock just to kind of help get it moving, and again then to stop it from warping. So I'm just doing this. I'm going to be cutting it up in a second because I want to colour each one of these separately. So like I said when we was looking through the magazine, this is going to be perfect if you've got these would be great for masculine cards. I'm doing them quite colourful, but you could do something really great and probably quite grungy with these. But yeah, any 21st birthdays, any numbers that you can make from these for playing cards, I think is going to be perfect. So I've trimmed those down. I'm going to take my splat box, which is just a plastic box lid here, and I've put, there's a piece of paper in there, then I've got a piece of kitchen towel just to sop up some of the water, and I'm using then a combination of my Nuvo shimmer powders, and I'm using the Cosmic Shimmer Pixie powder as well. So this first one here, this is the Solar Flare. I haven't used these in such a long time, but I do always really love them. So this one is going on the Ace. So all I did was just tap the bottle to get some of that liquid onto that card. You definitely don't want to squeeze it because it's gonna bring too much out. And then you just spritz it with water. So you can choose to spritz it first and then add your powder, or you can do it the other way around like I've done here, where I just put my powder down to begin with. So I'm just going in with another layer. You can see that I tapped some of that colour off a little bit. And when we've heat embossed, then the colour is going to sit differently and it's going to pour in different areas of the heat embossing. Some of the design, because it's quite closed, it's quite a close design. You're not going to get tons of different areas and things like that, because again, it's just that the embossed areas are so small. For the second one then, this is the Catherine wheel, again from the Nuvo shimmer powder. So again, just going in and drying this off, and you can really build these layers up if you want to, but with using the shimmer powder, it does give you a lovely shimmer, of course, when you have finished this and you've got it tipped in the light. For this one here, this is the purple violet. Again, I think this has got some lovely shine in it, and again, I'm not really kind of too fussed at how it looks. I just wanted something a little bit different, and it's just great. Of course, you can use paints, you can ink smush, you could use alcohol markers if you wanted to colour these in, and again, like I said, I think these would be really great if you do a really grungy style, just because of the sort of details of the stamp. For this last one here, this is the King. I'm using Atlantis Burst. Again, that is the Nuvo shimmer powder. I absolutely love this colour. I think it's so beautiful. And I'm actually really loving the paper towel as well. Just with those colours together, I think it looks really cool. So now these are all dried and all finished. So again, you know, you could just do so many with these cards. I think it's a really great set of stamps within this stamp set. So I'm just going to really roughly cut around this. So some of it I have just a small border, but because some of that colour is running outside of it, you don't really notice it anyway. But and they're a really great size. Let me just measure actually the size of these. So this is 1.5 inch by just over 2 inches. So again, a really great size for the cards there. And you think 4 of these, you could even fit 5. We've seen that card in the magazine that had quite a few of these cards on there. So, you know, you really could use these on much bigger cards as well if you wanted to. So now I'm just cutting around this last playing card here. So again, really not sort of worrying too much, trying to get up closer to that embossed edge. But again, it really doesn't matter. When you are looking at it, you're not really going to notice. So I'm just zooming in a little bit here just so you can, you know, see a little bit better. So I'm just going to kind of arrange these. I do kind of wish there was 5, to be honest, just to have that odd number I think is a lot nicer. And I didn't want to do one of them twice, just because I really wanted to have one of each. But potentially maybe having the 10 might have been quite nice as well, just to make, you know, odd numbers just look a little bit more pleasing to the eye on cards. So I'm just trying to work out what matte and layer colour I wanted to go for. I ended up going for the tan. This is the Craft Perfect. Yeah, I think it's just called tan or tan brown. So again, I probably could have gone for a colour that was more similar to the copper, but to be honest, I didn't really have a colour. But I thought this worked nicely with those colours, with the background as well, because with these nesting dies, you do get quite a you do get quite a big border on it. So this, between the sizes, let me just measure, you could say roughly is about 1/4 of an inch. Of course you do have the stitch details on there as well, but yeah, it is quite a big border, so you know you are going to see it, so you want to make sure that you are picking kind of the right colors. But again, you can see that lovely stitch detail, and this is why I like the stitch detailing, because if you do have a border that is that thick, it gives it a little bit more interest. There's a little bit more going on to kind of look at. So I've glued down that tan mat onto my card base, and then I've just added some foam tape onto the back of my background panel, and I'm just going to add this onto the into the center of the card. And then I ended up gluing down the middle two and then popping the end two on foam tape. It didn't look exactly how I'd had it laid out, but in the end, by the time I put the sentiment on it, I didn't think it was kind of too bad. I've sort of spread it out a little bit more on the card by the time I came to glue it down, but beforehand I had it just a little more bunched together. And I'm just doing them at some angles and that as well. So you can see I thought, can I take this back up? But I'd left it just a tad too long. So now I need to stamp a sentiment. So I went in with a happy birthday. So I did end up stamping this in black, because these stamps here is by Lisa Horton Designs. I can't 100% remember what the stamp set's called, but it's where you can ink it up, and then it's almost like a label. So you've got really thin letters in there, and then obviously you can stamp in different colors and that as well. So even though I didn't really have any black on my card, I did end up adding some Nouveau drops at the end as well, just to kind of come in with that black a little bit more. Maybe I should have come in with that same copper color, could have done a little bit of heat embossing to make it match, but at least it does kind of stand out a little bit. So for that, I used the VersaFine Onyx Black ink just to get a really great impression. Just going to leave this for a second, and then I can trim this out just to make sure, because I find the VersaFine takes just a little bit longer to dry. So I'm just going to line up the edge of the inking with the guard on my trimmer. That's how I make sure that I get an even border all the way around. And then I'm just going to add some foam tape again to the back of this just to help it stand out from that card. So with these foam dots that I've got, I picked these up from Amazon. You can then still use the outer bits once you've taken the obviously the dots from inside it. You can use the rest of it still as foam tape, works perfectly well. So I've just added a little bit of that to the back. So even though there isn't any other black on the card, it does stand out quite nicely. And again, then I'm going to add some Nouveau drops. This is the black ebony just around it, just to help kind of tie it in. Maybe I would have liked to have seen how it looked with the heat embossing with that copper, but maybe it would have gotten lost a little bit and you might not have been able to read the happy birthday quite as well. Then I wanted to add in just a little bit of Morning Dew as well. These are the clear ones, just for something a little extra. And that is then our card finished. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you like it, give this video a thumbs up. So that is my finished card for this video using this issue of Creative Stampin'. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. So that's going to be it for today. Thanks very much for watching, and happy crafting.